Hey kids, Comic Book Man here. Over the last couple of weeks on the website, we've had a new reviewer on, DanSweet, and he's been reviewing a bunch of stuff, especially this past week, that I've been putting up on the website. And some of the reviews are real interesting, and I've got Dan here with me today to talk about how he feels about some of these books and where he's coming from as far as reviewing some of these titles go. How you doing, Dan?
What's up, Tim? How are you?
Fine, fine. So, how you like writing on the website?
It's awesome, man. I
Awesome.
really appreciate
I
it.
love hearing that. I love hearing that. You know how much work it is putting this stuff up? Anyway, first thing we're going to talk about is Ultimatum #3.
Oh yeah.
Now, what'd you think of this book? You sort of kind of liked it, as I remember.
It's the halfway point of the Ultimatum story
Yeah.
by Jeff Loeb and David Finch. And as of right now, I feel like they don't necessarily know where they're going with it. They're murdering everybody they could think of, and it doesn't necessarily lead me to believe that they have a solid roadmap down. Whereas they said they had it all planned out, and they're changing the whole Ultimate line to Ultimate Comics, and I'm just a little sketchy on it right now. The art by David Finch is subpar. He's done great books like New Avengers. Even his first arc of Moon Knight was cool, and the Avengers stuff before that. But seriously, it looks like he's Russian. It looks like he's Russian.
You've been reading the Ultimates for a while, the whole Ultimates line for a
That's
while.
right.
What do you think about Jeff Loeb on the book? He's a DC guy who came over to Marvel, and they've sort of handed the whole Ultimate Universe over to him.
Yeah.
How do you think he's doing as far as that goes?
There's a lot of buzz on the net that a lot of people don't like his stuff. I'm more open-minded to it just because I know what he's trying to bring the superhero-ness to the Avengers Ultimate title, whereas Mark Millar brought the politics to it, which was really interesting, and you didn't see that take. And he's doing something new with the Ultimate characters, but it just feels stale because you're so used to seeing it in the 616 Marvel Universe. So I don't know. I'm more anxious to see where he's coming from with this after this. You know, I'm reading it as a stepping stone to see where he takes the characters in the future.
Okay. Another book that you reviewed, an Ultimate book, was Ultimate X-Men 100, which is actually the last issue for this series. So all you completists out there, last issue for Ultimate X-Men. What's up with this? How'd you feel about this?
Well, I made the mistake of reading this before Ultimatum #3, and chronologically it comes afterwards. So make sure if you read it afterward. It deals mostly with the X-Men and their angsty ways and the way they like to complain and cry a lot.
The X-Men don't complain and cry.
Oh yeah, no, not everybody's favorite super team in the world. I was a die-hard Ultimate X-Men fan from the beginning. The Kuberts were the artists, Millar and Bendis were doing the writing, and it was solid. And it lost its way halfway through, and it's just been stumbling ever since. I cannot say I'm sorry to see this title end.
Where do you think it went wrong?
It was after Brian K. Vaughan's run, actually the Magnetic North run, Robert Kirkman came on and started introducing a lot of stuff that was conceptually cool, but his execution on it was just, to me, subpar.
Yeah.
And then they've just faltered in terms of art and story-wise, and they've more and more just made it a mirror image of the traditional Marvel universe.
I do know a lot of people have been bitching about that the Ultimates line is pretty much just turning into 616.
The thing I heard about when it first came out is that they were afraid. The idea was that they could do stories outside of continuity that didn't have loads of baggage on them. Well, 10 years later, there's loads of continuity and baggage, and they're wiping it and starting it all over. So it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to do for those of us that have been around for a while with it. But at the same time, you kind of saw it coming from the beginning.
Okay. Dan also reviewed 2 indie titles, which you probably haven't heard of, and he has a varying opinion on both of them. The first one up is Stingers, #1 from Zenoscope, the folks who bring you Grimm Fairy Tales and 1001 Arabian Nights. You didn't like this? What's the problem?
Well, with the stellar track record that is Grimm Fairy Tales and 1001 Arabian Nights, I can't say I'm really surprised. This is the most cliched nonsense story I've ever read in my life. Hard bounty hunter dude runs around and beats people up, but he doesn't really like it. He's hoping to get one last score. Where have we heard that from before? And all of a sudden, these creepy crawly things from space show up and start murdering people.
Those would be the Stingers.
The Stingers, yes. Not too clear on what's going on. The first issue doesn't give you a lot of characterization in the way of I'm a tough guy and I beat people up, and now I'm afraid of these monsters. So outside of that, you don't get much.
So why is it called Stingers?
Because they sting.
Oh, okay. What about the art?
Run-of-the-mill, nonsense, nothing special. I read a lot of books with a lot of different styles of art, and I can't get into it. It's typical 90s style comic art.
Okay. Another indie book that came out last week that you liked, Wasn't this one, but it was the first issue of this book. This is actually number 2. I don't have any more of the first issue in stock right now. But it was Superhuman Resources number 1, which shipped last week.
Yeah, I'm actually really anxious to get my hands on this issue because it's a story about guys that work in an office, but they work in an office at a superhero team's headquarters, and it's something that could easily happen behind the scenes at JLA or Avengers or whatever superhero team you want to insert in the blank. Cool stuff, comedy all the way throughout, solid laughs, very cartoony style of art. You can tell from the cover. The writing is funny, but it's not in-your-face funny and not obnoxious funny, which is, I can appreciate that.
Is it sort of like the TV series The Office?
To an extent. I would easily compare it to The Office if you had to, but not as dry in the humor.
Okay. Okay, so this is definitely a worth reading.
Grab it and support it.
Okay.
Please.
You can see Dan doing a new review every day at www.myalternatereality.com. He's got a new review up every day, and it's all from that week's current new stuff. So if you go on the website today, you'll see something on there that's shipped this week and is brand new. So, from Dan and Comic Book Man, go to the website and see you next time.
Later.